brand. We started with paint, but we're a whole bunch more. We're cleaners, we're car waxes, we coat factory floors and the Golden Gate Bridge and space shuttle boosters, and we have a stain line and all kinds of things. But today I'm going to talk about our core, which is spray paint. So a lot of us have talked about who our target audience is and who we really need to focus on. And we do have that passionate user, that Rust-Oleum user. If you've used spray paint before, there's this aha moment. We call it kind of the gateway drug into using DIY. But once you see that transformation, you spend like $5 on a can of paint and you make something look absolutely beautiful. And Pinterest, God bless, we are very happy to have that Pinterest as a partner of ours and a really endemic place for us to reach people who are already looking for our products. But we really need to reach that person who isn't aware. So right now, I was thinking about Kate the other day, and God bless her, she is busy, and she is not our target right now. She's on Wayfair.com during a conference call, and she's going to buy a new patio set, and she doesn't care. So we were like, Kate, you're on your own. Farmers, they love us. We keep their tractors looking good. We have a John Deere green. So we already have that category. But what we're really looking for is reaching a new generation of DIYers. So in the behavior, when are you really starting your DIY experience? It's when you buy your first house. So you put all your money into the down payment. You're probably a millennial, 32-ish years old. You have no idea what you're doing, right? But you're comfortable with DIY. So this generation, thankfully, has grown up watching HGTV and DIY. They love seeing the makeovers. They have a lot of style. They really care about how their home looks, how they look. But they aren't comfortable using spray paint. They can paint their walls, but they really aren't aware of what we're doing. They think of spray paint sometimes as graffiti, but not as a solution for a beautiful finish for the items in their home. So what's standing in their way to get them to think about spray paint? Well, if you think about millennials, they've grown up with Instagram, Facebook. Everything they have, they present to others, has to be perfect, right? So if you look at this slide here, their social expectations are so much higher than past generations. And I joke around with my husband, like, thank God social media wasn't a thing when I was 20 years old, right? Amen. Because, yeah, I can't even start. But the expectations are, and I look at my friends, children's Instagram posts, and everything's perfect. Everything's filtered. And so there's that fear of, not doing things perfectly. Doing a good job is a big deal. Things that they have and that they show are a reflection of themselves. And if they don't do it well enough, they're not good enough, is what they're feeling. So the human problem is more than anything, they don't want to muck up. So we call it FOMO, fear of mucking up. And what we wanted to do here was eliminate that fear and just really celebrate the doing. So in our past campaigns, we did a great job of showing the before, the really rusty, nasty looking thing, and the after is so beautiful and on trend and colorful. But we didn't celebrate the experience. So, this audience is great at looking for things and researching on Pinterest and seeing things on Instagram. So they're always open to these experiences, but we really want them to feel comfortable doing it and set them up for success. So we developed a campaign called Pride in the Making that takes FOMO to spray confidence. And then once they try it, they're hooked, right? And they'll be our customer forever. So even though Kate doesn't have any time, she might have an event. So this is all behaviors, right? You have a new home, or you have a backyard party or graduation party, and all of a sudden you haven't done anything for 7 years in your backyard, and you're like, oh my gosh, I totally need to repaint everything and redo my, stain my fence and paint my patio furniture. But if they know our brand and they're comfortable with our brand, then they'll come to us first. So Pride in the Making is a campaign we just launched a month ago. So I'm sharing kind of some initial information about our media, but really focusing on the creative content here. So what we did was we leveraged consumer-generated content. And the reason we did this was in the past years, our creative agencies would come to us with this great mood reel and a pitch for an idea, and they used all this consumer-generated content to give us an idea of how that would feel, and we all fell in love with it. And then we tried to replicate that with actors and music and highly produced stuff. And it was good, but it wasn't like the same thing. So we wanted that same thing, and they said, well, why don't we just use stuff that consumers create? So we did. And we tried to capture this look, a real person who has a real project. They're a little young, they're a little older, but they're really excited and happy about the process of doing it. And I do have to say, and we'll see this video in a little bit, it is so hard for a brand to let go like that. Like everything we do and everything you guys do, I'm sure, is the can has to be placed specifically so that the logo is very clear, and it has to be held in a certain, format, and oh God, they're doing it wrong. But we just had to let go, and it's very hard, and it's still a little bit hard, I think, for a lot of us. So we had a casting call video that we posted on social channels. We also have a private crowd that we use called Creator Studio. It's about 8,000 people who have participated with Rust-Oleum for the past 3 years. They're very passionate users of Rust-Oleum. We love them. They love us for the most part. They're very honest with their opinions, but they send a lot of their videos as well. So here's the casting call video. So a lot of fun. It's interesting, as working for a spray paint company, there's a lot of questions that are asked by our brand team that you wouldn't necessarily consider, like, do people know that's spray paint? Do they think it's hairspray? That was a question that was asked by a brand manager. So we took this content, we created a content hub. We wanted to make sure that everybody knew that it was paint, that everybody knew, there was a before and after. We also wanted to focus on kind of the basics of spray painting. Like, you have to shake the can for a minute, just like you would stir a gallon of paint to make sure that that paint is, evenly colored. And bright features that are followed with some video of real people, not holding the can the way I'd love him to, but he's still holding it and he's doing the job, and he's spraying and he's shaking, just like he's supposed to do. Using a lazy Susan saves a whole bunch of time. You're not walking around your flower pot, you're actually, standing one place. It makes it a lot easier. But also not talking like a brand. So a lot of times we'll give instructions, we'll send people to a project card, we call it. And we would have a lot of very technical brandy words like, well, if your substrate is rusty, who uses the word substrate? Absolutely nobody but us. So we really wanted to just make it easy, make it simple. We leveraged some quotes from our crowd as well, talked about their passion for using our products. And then we brought it all together in our content hub on Instagram, making sure all those pieces work together. And also, featuring people from our crowd or from, just the general public, they love that, right? So they're sharing that with their friends. It's a nice way to make it like a mini viral. We also paired it with content created at our own content studio. So Kraft Heinz the other day mentioned they had 60,000 pieces of content, which was just amazing to me. And we have a lot of content, not that much, but we're creating content every day. We have a studio just about 3 blocks away from our headquarters, so we're able to go there and knock some things out pretty quickly. But even the content we develop ourselves, so you can see the lady painting in the frame on the top, that was developed in our studio, but we'd never focused on the smiles before. She'd never, just messed around and, joked afterwards. We just kind of focused on the thing. So it was really nice to transition from the thing to the pride. And then we also paired this with some banner ads and some social activation. So here is there's some Instagram ads. And again, this is the one where we were like, is that spray paint or is that hairspray? We're pretty confident it's spray paint. At the end, we shake the can. You always have to have your branding, but really celebrating the person and the item. And here we are with our digital banners. So we have some native and some weather-triggered banners. The native are performing very well. Again, it's very, it's very much the mindset you're in. So if you're not considering doing a project, or you're not considering, hosting an event or moving to a new home, you're not going to really relate to the ad. So we launched this a month ago. We feel very strongly that test and learn is a big component of our media. We're always working to make it better. The weather triggered ad is my favorite. So you don't really want to spray paint if it's hotter than 90 degrees. You really don't want to be outside doing that. If it's colder than 60 degrees, the paint just doesn't work the way it should. If it's too humid, it doesn't work. So we can say, hey, it's a great day. Rays out, sprays out. Let's get out there and do something. And spray painting projects don't take long. So this is a culmination of all of this content. We called it an anthem video that we're sharing. We have a 30, a 15, and a 6 cut down of this. Where we're running this next year is to be determined. I think it turned out really well.
That. You see that right there? That's something you didn't find in a store. This wasn't placed in a cart, shipped in a box, or found online. It takes a whole lot of this, and some of this, to create something so special that when people ask you where you bought it, just one look will tell them, I didn't buy it, I made it. Rust-Oleum, pride in the making.
So we love this one. We showed it to a customer just a couple weeks ago, and the customer said I had chills, and that was like my favorite. If I could make somebody cry out of happiness from seeing a Rust-Oleum ad, an ad about paint, that would be like my winning moment. So Ryan, do you mind? I'm going to share something with you that I